Hello, my name is Bob Ganzak, and this is Motivation U, the podcast. Welcome to Motivation U, the podcast. My name is Bob Ganzak. We're coming to you live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill inside the Coach's Podcast Room here in Gainesville, Florida. If you've never been here, absolutely a trip you need to make. Exit 384, go west. You'll find it Celebration Point, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. The food is incredible. Find Paul Huffer and tell Paul, make me a special drink. He'll do it for you. I promise you. At least for 7 weeks, he's in my class, so I can kind of influence him a little bit. Plus, you can see the museum with all of the artifacts from Coach Spurrier's career and a lot of things that I go in there every single week. I come here and find something different. So, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Celebration Point. My guest today, Minde O'Sullivan, the First Lady of Florida baseball. And I am so anxious. Maybe I was fearful last night about this meeting. And yet, in the last 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I have no fears whatsoever about this conversation. Minde O'Sullivan and her foundation, the Rex and Brody Foundation. We're going to talk about some things today that will be baseball-oriented, that'll be life-oriented, leadership-oriented. But welcome, Minde. Glad you're here.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your foundation.
So I started the foundation, the Rex and Brody Foundation, after the death of my two boys, Rex and Brody, who were they were killed in a murder-suicide on May 4th, 2021. Okay. So I think when someone walks in and tells you that your whole world has been swept out from under your feet in 5 seconds, you know, there's a couple ways to react. You can lay down, curl up, and give up on life, or you can find some inner strength somewhere and a purpose and drive. And I chose the latter. So, when it happened, I think, I don't know if the right word is you go into a fog or you become numb or I still wake up 2.5 years later every morning and think, this can't be my life, right? This is a bad nightmare. They're going to come walking in the door any moment and say, we got you. We were just, on a vacation. So in that first week, I sat outside my parents' house a lot on the back porch. And I thought, I want to do something that would make them proud, and they were competitors in every sense of the word. They fished and played football and basketball and baseball and golfed, and everything was a competition. It didn't matter, who could bring the garbage can in faster, who could, everything in that house was a competition between those two boys. And they ended up gravitating towards baseball towards the end of their life and fell in love with it. And I think that being a mother, there's only positive things that come out of being on a team, no matter what sort of team it was, right? And they're life lessons. It's responsibility, it's drive, it's leadership, it's it's sportsmanship, everything. So I wanted to bring that back to the foundation and help out children that they would want me to help out in teams. And
they are still part of a team.
They are.
Yep. They're the head coaches of that team right now.
Exactly. They call them angels in the outfield.
Wow.
Yep.
Amazing. What have you learned about yourself in the last 2 years?
Yes. if you would have told me on May 3rd at 10 o'clock at night, the last time I talked to them, that I was going to have to live a day or a week without them, I would have thought, well, there's no way I can do that. I was the mom that cried every first day of school because I was missing them during the day, right? I went to every lesson. I was the homeroom mom. I mean, they were my whole world. And the fact that I'm still standing 2.5 years later and, finding a purpose and getting up every single day, there's no way I would have told you that I could have done this, before.
So what is the purpose of the foundation, and what are some of the successes that you've had so far with your foundation?
We've had a lot, actually. And I have to remind myself that, because every day I wake up and I say I'm like a hamster in a wheel. Like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. And then someone says like, stop. You've done more than most foundations do in 5 years. But that's my drive. That's my inner, like, that's where I find my purpose is. So the one thing that, there's a lot that I'm proud of, but my boys went to Cooperstown, New York in 2019, and it's a 12U tournament. And, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is, there's 100 teams. Back then we start fundraising 2 years in advance to pay for it. They stay in barracks. They meet people from all over the country. And people would say, well, you're going to love this. You're going to drop them off as boys and you're going to pick them up as young men. And I'm like, and it's a week. But I watched Rex. I watched him, turn into a butterfly. And like, they lived an outstanding life, like traveled the world and had great friends and these huge experiences. And to the day they died, if you asked them the best week of their life, they would say Cooperstown. So Brody went with Rex, and he was only 9 and stayed and played on the team because someone dropped off at the last minute. So his year to go was 2022 as a 12-year-old. So Cooperstown called me and gave me a certificate. And I said, well, what am I going to do with it? And I hung up the phone, and my friend was sitting right there next to me. And she said, this is what your foundation is for. So that's one thing I've promised till the end of time, I will send a group of 12-year-olds and coaches to Cooperstown. And so we've gone 2 years in a row. And when we went in 2021 or 22, that's when Brody should have gone, and he played center field. So we started every game without a center fielder. And they pin trade, and the boys pins. And I have gotten so much outreach from people all over the country that are so inspired. These are our bracelets, and the teams pass them out. And so I think that's one thing that I'm very proud of, because it costs a lot of money to get a team there program, and coaches and pins and everything. So that is what I really started. And then all the little things, I call them little. I mean, they're $500 to $600, sponsorships. We've probably done 10 to 12 on middle school and high school baseball and softball teams and basketball teams, and banners in the outfield and all over the place. And then we, supplied bats for a team that went to state that was a rec ball team. We've sponsored uniforms for, GHS, Gainesville High School, New Jersey's. And then we've done facility upgrades, which is expensive, and it's a large portion of our money. But it's going to be here. All these upgrades are going to be, they're longer than you and I are here. So I have to take that into consideration too. So we've done batting.
You're leaving a legacy.
I know, right?
Like way down the road.
Right. Yes. So we've done batting cages at Diamond Sports Park, where all the public school, middle school softball and baseballs played. And then we did new turf for Newberry High School's batting cages. We've done a verbal commitment for Buchholz for a large amount of money for their baseball program, which is where Rex should be playing right now. They're going to redo their field. And we've done a huge facility. It's going to be called the Rex and Brody Training Facility at Jonesville Park.
Wow.
And
great.
it's covered with a quarter of the sides with electricity and fans, and it's going to either be, you have an opportunity to have 4 bullpens or 4 batting cages at one time. And so people can still have lessons in the rain and, you know, the 100-degree heat, there'll be fans, and that's going to be there forever.
The teams that you've sent to Cooperstown, 2 questions,
Okay.
2-part question. How did you select them?
Okay.
And where did they come from?
Okay, so I think that's still a work in progress. The first year, which was last year, we took 15 players, which is, you know, in baseball a lot. And they were all, the majority of them were all of Brody's friends that would have, you know, been on his team had he been here. And that was a special year. I mean, it was emotional how we got this team.
That's great. That's great. I don't, it's a long time ago, maybe. But I remember being the youngest person, I think it was 15, the first time I went to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And you know, I was still in high school, and everybody was, you know, in college. I was the youngest kid in the league on our team. But that experience, that first trip to Johnstown for the, I think it's the AABA Foundation. I mean, that to me will forever be in my brain. I went back to Johnstown 2 or 3 times later as I got older for tournaments. But that first time was amazing. And the fact that you give young people that opportunity is just amazing.
I mean, it was, for any baseball crazy person, which I am, obviously, and my boys were, and my parents now are, Cooperstown is like Disney World for baseball.
Your husband's not baseball crazy, is he, though? Yeah,
I think I'm just as baseball.
Games back were always at Central Michigan University, and I played right field, and they would push all the snow to right field, so which was incredible. We're going to talk more baseball.
Okay.
We're going to take a 3-4 minute break here for some commercials, chat, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
You're watching MotivationU, the podcast.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Looking for more reasons to celebrate? We have them here at Celebration Point. Enjoy some of the newest additions to our already celebratory lineup, like Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, and Prime and Pearl. There's always a reason to celebrate. Join us anytime for any occasion. Celebration Point. where Gators come to celebrate.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Welcome back to Motivation U, the podcast. My name is Bob Ganzak. This is Minde O'Sullivan, the First Lady of Florida Baseball. Yes. Why do they call you the First Lady of Florida Baseball?
I'm Sully's wife. I don't know. That sounds like a very official title.
Because not everybody knows who Sully is. And it was funny, while we were talking beforehand, I kept on calling him Kevin. Because I can read and everything on his, you know, I've never met the guy. He's not a friend of mine, but you know, I don't know him. I'd love to meet the guy, you know. But you said you used to call him Kevin, and then it's like, but he's always Sully.
My boys, I mean, we had been friends for a long, long, long time, and I never called him Kevin. I don't know. I've always called him Sully. I think it's because the boys called him Sully. And Brody had a speech impediment, so he would say, Sully, can you call Sully right now? Can I go to the game with Sully? So so when we transferred into dating, I tried calling him Kevin, for a day. And I finally said, this is the weirdest.
What was his response?
Well, he said he's never dated a girl that calls him Sully. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's try it. I'm like, I cannot look at you and call you Kevin. I've never done it before.
So your families were friends for a long time.
Yeah, and the boys were very, very close with him and his 2 children. And so he's Sully. My parents call him Sully. We've never called him Kevin.
That's fantastic. What is it like to be around a major college program like the University of Florida baseball team? Yeah. What is it like? I mean, because you came into that. I mean,
they were already successful, and
and all of a sudden you're the coach's wife,
right?
You know, what was that like?
I love it. I think that, there's a way and a reason why everything works out. And I don't know if you want to, say that the boys are up there, this is probably would have been their dream life. And they were always around the team and always around Sully. And so for me, I was watching Rex develop and dream to be what these boys are. I call them boys.
They are. But, hey, look, there was a book written about the Brooklyn Dodgers called The Boys of Summer. So, okay.
Right. Yeah, they are big boys. Yeah. But, I was watching my son, trying to turn into and hope and dream that he would be in the position that these boys are in. Mm-hmm. So for me, I know how hard they have worked their whole entire life to get where they are, and I know what it has taken them to play at this level of college baseball. I mean, not only is it Division I, I mean, it's the best of the best, right? So you don't pick up this sport, at 16 and play at this level. I mean, it's years of, and I think that it has been so amazing for my parents and I to experience this. And I spoke to the boys on May 4th in the dugout. I think we're at Texas A&M, and that was the anniversary of my son's death. And I spoke to the team, and I said, I lost my boys. A lot of them knew them, the older ones, and it was on the 2-year anniversary. And I said, I just want to let you know what you've done for me. and what you're doing for people that you don't even know. You know, you're inspiring children, you're inspiring me. I mean, on every level, for y'all to get out there and compete like you do. And for my parents and I, going to 3 baseball games a week gets us stressed. You know, it gets us up out of the house.
Yeah.
We could be in the darkest moments crying, and we're like, oh, we got to go. We have to get dressed. We have a game to go to.
You know, you've mentioned your mom and dad a
Mm-hmm.
couple of times now, and beforehand when
Mm-hmm.
we were talking, you mentioned your mom and dad, and hopefully they're watching.
I hope they are.
They should be watching because
Gigi and Pop. That's what my
you got the
boys call them.
instructions, so hopefully you're there watching. But we sometimes, when it's something like that event, such
Mm-hmm.
a tragedy happens, we internalize it into us, but we
Mm-hmm.
forget that there are other people that experience that. How have your parents coped with that, and what have you learned from their leadership?
Right. So my parents, you know, the minute Rex was born, I mean, they basically, their life revolved around my children. I mean, I've always been close to them. I've always lived within a couple miles of them. And they went to baseball tournaments. They never missed a school play. So they were their best friends, just like they were my best friends. The boys were. And they fished together. They played golf together. I mean, they were so close. They talked every single day on the phone if they didn't see them. So for them, it was just, the world was swept out from underneath them, just like me. And I remember when they came in and told us that, you know, they had found the boys and bodies, like my dad just screamed, he took my best friends. So for all of us, we've struggled. I mean, no one, what I've always said is there's not a handbook written on how to handle this.
No.
There's not a timeline of when you should do what you need to do. We're just staying alive, right? But I moved in with them immediately, and you know, we support each other. Me and my mom was working on the foundation stuff this morning. I mean, but going back to it, baseball helped us for 2 years get up and go to 3 games a week and get dressed and, you know, socialize and be out in public again. And, you know, we'll never be okay, but we're doing the best with what we've been dealt. So
the energy, how do you funnel that energy to other people? Like when you talk to people about your foundation, when you talk to the team on May 4th,
yeah.
how do you funnel that energy and that emotion?
I think I want to help people, and I want them to understand you can be dealt the hardest deck of cards in the world, and it's mind over matter if you choose what you choose to do with it, right? Because it would have been a lot easier for me to curl up in a ball and
Give up.
That would have been a lot.
I had
And
enough.
same with my parents, and we haven't done that. We've been the opposite of that.
And I've talked to you now for about an hour, and absolutely zero amount of spite or anything else. It's all focused on future and positiveness. That's amazing. How do you do that?
Well, I think honestly, I think that you're born with that gene somewhere inside of you.
Probably your parents,
Right.
You know, the way you were brought up and enjoying life.
I mean, my friends, my parents, I mean, even, you know, I stop and in the morning and say, look at how pretty that palm tree is. Or we went to Ocala the other day. I'm like, these oak trees are just gorgeous.
Just incredible, right?
I just take like little things like that. You know, we've seen a lot of double rainbows in the last 2 years. And I think that I take moments, I walk outside and look at the stars and the moon in the middle of the night. Like, I don't know. I think that's somehow you're born with it, or it's driven inside of you. That's always been me.
I'm like we talked about. I'm such a believer in the human species. You know, that we can overcome so many things. And even when we're not overcoming them, we can help other people get through their
Right.
their problems, you know, whatever they are. It's just amazing to me that we spend so much time, like on social media and other things,
Right.
cutting each other down.
Oh my gosh.
When you could just lift somebody else up,
Right.
you know, just
Right.
smile,
Right.
say hello. You know,
Right.
You know, why
Yeah.
do we have to find the negativity, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in that? Well, tell me about how people can donate to the Rex and Brody Foundation.
Right.
What
So
are some
we
ways
have,
they can get
well,
involved?
one thing that we have going on September 29th is our big Rex and Brody Foundation fundraiser party. And it's at Touchdown Terrace.
Oh, wow.
And it has a live band, live auction items, silent auction items. It's catered by Blue Water Bay, which the food is amazing. We did the menu the other day. There's a full bar. It is a lot of fun, and there's sponsorships, and then there you can also buy individual tickets, and that's on rexandbrody.com. So it's a very easy website to maneuver around. You can also make a donation there if you're not.
So that's a Friday night.
That's a Friday night.
September
Yep, we
29th.
play Kentucky the next day away in football.
Okay.
This is how my brain works. So it's an away game, and it's a lot of fun. But if you just feel like you want to donate any amount of money, there's a donate button on the website that you can go and click. And I put 100% of all of our money back into the youth in the community, and that, you know, we talk about. I don't have my two boys, and I never will have them again. But I have thousands of other kids that I love and want to take care of.
Because of your two boys and what they went through, what the family went through, other youngsters are benefiting from that.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
and that's, you know, what you talk about, what a legacy you want to leave. You know, we usually think of our legacies like when we get into our 80s or 90s. We
Right.
hope, right?
Right.
Just that the legacy that they are leaving because of you,
Right.
your friends,
Right.
your parents, your family, your friends. It's an amazing story.
Thank you. They were, of course, I'm impartial because I'm their mother, but they were very genuine, heartfelt, giving, kind, sweet, hardworking, everything that you would want your children to ever be. And so they had an impact on so many thousands of kids. Like if they came in contact with Rex or Brody, you know, I have, when it first happened, I don't know how many thousands of letters from all over the country that people sent to me, handwritten letters, and they were anywhere between 7-year-olds to, you know, 80-year-olds. And my boys, I think that I'm keeping their memories alive and their legacy alive through their names and the foundation. But I think they started all this years ago, you know, so I just jumped in and kind of took over.
It was amazing to me
I
last.
mean, and it's the baseball community in itself would just kind of picked me up and carried me around for a little bit while, I mean, it's such a great, you know, huge community that loved my boys and believed in them and loved me equally, and they still do.
So, tell me how Coach O'Sullivan has gotten, not how he got involved. I mean, that's your relationship with him, but that impact that he's had on the foundation.
So I think that at the very beginning,
Let me stop you for a second. Maybe also how the foundation has an impact
Right.
on him.
right,
Okay.
right.
So let's look at both. I'm sure it has affected
It
him in a
has,
positive
right.
way also.
I think that, you know, he has gone through every emotion that so many people have gone through, and it's losing the boys. I mean, he was close to them. His children were close to them. They still, you know, we talk about them and talk about funny stories about them every day, you know, and so I think that's keeping the boys' memory alive, and I think it's therapeutic that we didn't just shut the door and Rex and Brody were in the past. And so I think that's been healing for him and me and his children and everyone else who, you know, we still do a birthday party every year for Rex and Brody.
That's great.
And all of their friends come and their parents of their friends come. So I think that has helped. And I think what I've that I've instilled in a lot of people, including Sully and all the boys on the team and everyone else, is that I was so blessed, and I think this is
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Looking for more reasons to celebrate? We have them here at Celebration Point. Enjoy some of the newest additions to our already celebratory lineup, like Dave & Buster's, Les Macarons, and Prime and Pearl. There's always a reason to celebrate. Join us anytime for any occasion. Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate. Looking for more reasons to
Welcome back
celebrate?
to MotivationU,
We have
the
them here
podcast.
at Celebration Point.
Probably the first time we've ever taken 3 breaks in a show. Zach is, we've watched Zach juggle. He's stood on his head. He's done everything, but he keeps us online, and that's absolutely incredible. And my guest today, Minde O'Sullivan, and the Rex and Brody Foundation.
Yes.
And we were talking about Coach and what the foundation has done for him. But tell me what what is the future of Florida baseball from the wife's perspective?
Oh, I had so much fun last season. I mean, he has to capitalize on that and do that. We have to do a repeat and then win the final game of the season next year, right?
So is it like, have you already told him now, like, Omaha is like mandatory every year?
Well, he's been there a lot, and he makes a joke that, you know, when his children were born, they thought that was a yearly vacation. So the first year that he didn't go, they said, well, we always go to Omaha. Why aren't we going this year? You know, like, why is our vacation not happening?
Well, Gator Nation is like, you know,
They're the same. They feel the same way. Why aren't we
why aren't we
going?
going every year, right? Oh my goodness! And have you now that your husband and wife, as the young men move off to the majors, have you found yourself following some of their careers?
Well, I mean, I did when the boys were here too. I mean, people would always say, "Well, what's your favorite, major league baseball team?" And I said, "We follow players." So, I mean, everyone, all of them, we followed. I mean, it didn't matter. I think he said last night we watched. There was three. In one game, 3 Gators playing last night.
Wow.
So
That has to feel great
right,
for
3
him
former
to
players
be there
on the field.
I know that the Tigers, my Detroit Tigers, terrible this year. I know we have a couple. A couple of, and some have been hurt and back and forth, but that must be fun to be able to.
And we did so. I mean, my boys, I used to beg for them to like play video games or watch a movie because they were always outside playing wiffle ball and basketball and everything. So the only time I could get them to sit down was to watch sports, and then halfway through they would start playing the sport in front of the TV that was on. So they were blessed enough that I was sitting in a baseball tournament in Sanford, and the World Series final game, when we found out that Tampa was going to play the Dodgers, I bought tickets that morning and we went the next day and watched the final game in Texas, in Arlington, Texas. And so they got to experience that in October before they passed away. So when I was talking to the boys about where we were going to get tickets, and Brody said, "Well, I want to be in the bullpen, by the bullpen." And I'm like, "Well, that's really far away from everything." But Zanino was out there catching, and he knew Brody, and so he was throwing them baseballs, while he was warming up the pitchers, at the beginning. So they came home with 12 World Series baseballs.
Wow.
So yes, so they had a relationship with a lot of the former players, and I still follow them. That's what I do. I follow all the players.
That has to be. This article said there was 10 players on major league rosters to start the season. There's probably more now,
Right.
I would think, because they brought, they start calling people up in September and things like that. But so we were talking again about the donating to the foundation, and you said that like you give all of the money to
Right.
youth. So what are some of the projects that you have on the shelf that you're looking at? Some of the dream projects.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, right now I'm sponsoring teams, and they can, the coaches and the managers or, the head people of the organization can decide exactly where that money needs to go. I think eventually, and I'm going to need a lot of help with this, is to sponsor, individual players that cannot go to these showcases and can't go to these camps at these colleges because they're expensive. I mean, baseball is expensive. All sports is expensive. But that's kind of a gray area right now because I don't want to be the one telling little Johnny that he got selected or not selected for a scholarship. So
Right.
we're going to have a group of people come in, and that's what we've talked about for the last 2 years is how are we going to do that so it's clean and that we're not, I'm not crying at night because I wanted, little Johnny to go and he didn't,
A number of years ago, a long time ago, and this might be a thought of how you do that, there was a gentleman, Augie Brognow, name doesn't mean anything, but he was an older gentleman that worked for Whirlpool, and he had a son late in life. His son played football at Lakeshore High School in Stevensville, Michigan, and we were big fans of that, always were involved in it. And he passed away while his son was still in high school. And one day I got a call from his wife, and she said he left money to the school for a scholarship. And we would like you to be one of the people that serves on the board.
Right.
to decide who gets the scholarship. So every year, each team would nominate a player,
Right. Oh,
and it
that's
was
good.
academic and athletic combined. It had to be both, and then we would interview them as a board. We had to interview all of the and select one to go to get the scholarship.
Right. That's a good idea.
Which
That's hopefully
which
what
was
we would do.
which was kind of an interesting way to do that. Takes it out of your
Right. Yes, because I would give
world.
to everyone in the whole entire world if I could.
Oh, you mentioned, I was watching a program, I don't know where, either online, YouTube, or someplace, and they were talking about baseball. When I played it, we didn't have travel teams.
Oh, right. Now
And
they're everywhere.
Nowadays,
so
and this
expensive.
person made the comment that you have no opportunity to succeed in baseball these days unless you're on a travel team. But the cost of that travel team is incredible.
It's crazy.
What are some of those?
It's so expensive. I mean, you pay for, uniform packages. Each bat's $400. A glove's, anywhere between
What
two
happened to
and
wooden
five.
bats?
Right. Well, they use them in some tournaments and, over the summer for high school kids and stuff like that. But the aluminum bat, I mean, it's just expensive. The gloves are expensive. The travel. I mean, we're lucky that we live in Florida because there's so many tournaments going on year round. But I mean, to stay, if you have a family of 4 and you're going, to a tournament for the weekend and you're eating out and you're staying in a hotel and you're paying for gas, I mean, it is very, very expensive. And baseball in Florida is a year-round sport.
Yes, I was just going to mention that.
Yep.
We go down to Fort Myers like once a month because my son and his wife and my grandkids live there, and we stay at a nice hotel, and there is always 2 or 3 teams
Right.
in that hotel,
Right.
and it doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving weekend,
Right.
Christmas
Oh,
weekend,
they don't take time
summertime. It's constantly, and I always try to talk to the kids, and find out where they are. And,
Right.
say, how did you guys win? Did you
Right.
lose? What happened?
Right.
But it's amazing.
It is.
It's such a. What age does that start at?
Oh, I mean, there's 8-year-old travel ball teams. So, my boys played rec ball for the first couple years, and then they went on to travel ball teams, and it was as expensive and time consuming. And I mean, we could sit here and talk about everything, but it literally is a huge family. We eat dinner together, we go to games together, we cheer together, we go back to the hotel together. It is. And those are the boys that were on my boys' teams for years. I mean, Rex, he started travel ball probably at 9 or 10. And Brody started at 7 as playing on a 9-year-old team because he wanted to keep up with the big boys and Rex.
Be with his brother.
Right. And so, but those are the boys still to this day that text me every single day. Good morning. Love you, Miss Mindy. Happy birthday. Can I come see you tomorrow? Can we go out to dinner? Because they were such a big part of my life, and that's how travel baseball is. I mean, it's a bit, and that's how how Florida is to me now. All the parents. It's honestly like you just take a travel ball team, and now the boys are a lot bigger, and now it's a college baseball team. They're all very close, and they stay.
And they've
at home.
all.
Yep.
And we came down to brought my son-in-law is a huge Ole Miss fan. Ole Miss. And so I got them tickets, and we all went to the opening of the series. Not this past year, but the year before.
When it was at Florida.
It was here
Yeah.
at Florida, and we had a great time. But it's amazing to me to think that all of those kids on each one of those teams, and you watch the College World Series, because I watch it religiously,
Right.
they all played on these travel teams. You're telling them that the family can't go on a summer vacation.
It's very time consuming, but I mean, if what I told you know, the boys, when I talked to them on May 4th, was the hashtags that go around are play like Brody and pitch like Rex. And that's what's on my bracelet. And the life lessons, the lessons that you learn in sports, it will take you for the rest of your life.
Carry on, definitely does.
So I said, you know, Rex was a quieter, he was a pitcher. He was very determined and was great under pressure and wanted to be put in situations where he could, you know, save the team. But he was a lot quieter than Brody. Brody was, if he walked in the room, like the room would light up, and he knew everyone's name within 5 minutes, and everyone knew his name, and he was animated and cheered and yelled, and he was, you know, you can't give up. You know, at some point, Brody was small in stature, but he had the biggest heart. He had the heart of a lion, right? And he never knew that he was smaller than the other kids, just the way he carried himself. Rex was quieter and a little bit more insecure as a, you know, and was not successful straight from the beginning, but he never gave up. He worked every single day, and he became a superstar, you know, and now, you know, I get to watch all these 2025s, you know, where he should be, you know, visiting these colleges and going into his, you know, being in his junior year of high school, and these kids have never given up. They just keep working, you know, and they're still working. And I think that's what, you know, separates the men from the boys at some point.
It's kind of ironic that we live in a world now, and I'm trying to formulate ideas for future talks, and I have one. I'm not starting, so I'm quitting the team.
Right.
I see that in football all the
Right.
time now.
Right.
You know, I remember something I said to a gentleman, wow, back in the 1990s, a long time ago, when he told me he wanted to quit a class, a Dale Carnegie class that I was a graduate assistant in. And I said, you have a young son, right? And he said, yes. I said, at what age are you going to tell him that mediocre is okay?
Right.
And I walked away from the guy. And he remembered that years later and called me about it and said, you helped change my life.
Right.
But we're allowing these kids just to quit. Well,
Right.
I'm not starting. You know, football is a really brutal sport.
It is. Right.
And people get hurt.
Right.
You know, I never started in high school in football. Never.
Right.
I mean, I was a backup quarterback for 2 years, got into one game, the last game of my career. But the lessons I learned in those 2 years, we're talking about them today.
Right.
This is
Yep.
that's how I got to be
Right.
here, you know. It's amazing to me how we allow the kids to quit.
Well, and I think the thing that's so disappointing for me from the outside looking in, I mean, in any sport on TV, reading articles, is that some people are just blessed with God-given
And
talent.
have the skills,
Right.
and
He had the work ethic.
but you got it.
Yep.
And when I see us allow young people to give up on their career because they're not starting or
Right.
whatever, I think to myself, what are they going to do at the next level? How about when that professor in college looks at them with a stern look? Are they going to give up on school too? I mean, you want to talk about, I've gotten more rejection in business
Right.
than I ever got in sports.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's part of what life is. It would be neat if you could take, you know, part of your foundation, because you're raising money to help people with things,
Right.
but you're such an inspiration
Oh, thank you.
to use part of your foundation to help people with the thought process side of it, the motivation side of it.
Right. That's a good idea. I hope that I'm helping a lot of people behind the scenes. I mean, I have people reach out and say, you know, I was folding clothes this morning. And in my head, I thought, there's a million things that I would prefer to be doing than folding clothes. And then I think, Minde would be doing anything in the world to be folding our boys' clothes right now. And so I hope that by me getting up and being positive every single day, that it's changed the outlook on a lot of parents and people in the world. And, you know, even if I don't know them personally, I hope that that I'm helping someone every second of the day.
Well, those words that you said about not pitching like a 14-year-old or not playing like an 11-year-old. Every corporate CEO, every manager, mid-level manager, everybody should hear that. You know, everybody should see the strength of this person that is standing here sharing those thoughts and ideas and talking about this, because that's life.
Yes.
You know.
Yep.
And that's the business world too.
Right. It is.
You know,
Yep. And there's so many companies that focus on hiring former athletes because they have, I mean, to be a successful athlete, you have been told no once or twice and you haven't given up.
Yep.
You've been told you're a superstar. You've suffered some sort of injury and overcome it. You know, the mental stability of going out and competing day in and day out. I mean, I think, you know, athletics has a million positive things that help people throughout every aspect of the
we've
world.
desensitized ourselves to life so much. It just absolutely drives me crazy. I mean, as a fan, I even catch myself doing it someplace. You know, somebody tears a knee ligament or something on your favorite team, and you go, "Well, he'll be back." You know, is it 4 weeks or is it he's on IR? You don't know the rigors of. I watched this special. I'm a Detroit Lion fan. Yeah, we're 1-0, 1-0. Because Ed and I sat here last week talking about the Chiefs and Lions that were going to be played that night. But I watched this special on Tracy Walker, who came back from an Achilles tear, and what he went through to get back to that is like absolutely crazy. You know, and not only the physical, the mental thing. That you think about the first time you run, you've been an athlete your whole life. You know, he's got like 4 or 5 kids, and you can't play with your kids. And the first time you run, you think to yourself,
"Is it going to happen again?"
Yeah, you know. And we glorify the athletes so much, but we don't understand that when you get to an elite status, the effort that was put forth. And if we all took that same thought process in our jobs, the world would be a much more successful place.
Yes.
Got a couple of minutes left. Talk about the foundation, what people can do, and basically, what do you want people to learn from your foundation?
I mean, I think the most important thing for me to keep going and being able to give back the way that I want to give back is we have to have funding. We have to have people donate. And we have this great community in North Central Florida and the baseball world. And I mean, we've sponsored a girls basketball team. I mean, so everyone around here helps. And we just have to keep the donations coming. This is our One Ask event, September 29th. Right-hand corner, it's blue, and you click on it, and you can buy a ticket right there.
Minde, this has been an eye-opening experience for me, and absolutely, I would love to do this again. And
thank you so much for having me.
And you're just a very special person. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. This has been Motivation U, the podcast.